going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You know who it is by now,
Jimothy.
So ladies and gents, we are in all agreement that the format right now is a little bit dead in terms of there are a few people that are kind of in limbo just because the ban list is looming and Snake Eyes, Fire Kings or pure Snake Eye, whichever variant that you think is the best, is kind of like on top at the moment, and people are kind of a little bit tired of it. That's why you're seeing the resurgence of like stun decks and all those like weird quirky decks that just kind of stun you out of the game and just win the game on the spot by flipping a floodgate or something along those lines. Mainly because people are kind of tired of the format. Now, Legacy of Destruction is releasing later on this year, ladies and gents, so it's definitely going to add a little bit more spice to the metagame. And I believe that before that, we're probably going to have a ban list. Now, I've kind of shied away from the ban list talk on the video. I like to analyze the ban list, but like predictions and all that kind of stuff, we all know what's going to happen, ladies and gents. There's going to be a few hits. It may or may not shake up the metagame, and we're going to have to deal with it. So I'd rather analyze it afterwards because it just allows us to think about what decks we can play. Now, with that in mind, ladies and gents, I have definitely been testing Tenpai Dragons, which is a deck that I'm really interested in, regardless if it's going to be meta or not, because I like the way it plays. I like decks that can just attack out of nowhere and just win a game, and Tenpai definitely fits that theme. Now, if you've been watching the replays in the background, it's me testing against the AI on EDO Pro, and I'm just playing against Sword Soul, and literally it's the first time I've read the cards properly, and I don't know what I'm doing half the time, and I'm still just putting up some crazy damage. The field spell is probably one of the most ignorant cards I've read in Yu-Gi-Oh! In like, I don't even know how long, ladies and gents. It's just crazy to think about that. You can have a card that just negates all interaction. It's worse than Miscellaneous Saurus, and Misk is at 1. So put that in your pipe, innit? But yeah, it's a deck that I feel like is going to be very prominent going forward. Now, it can be countered. There are a few clear counters, and that's what I'm going to discuss in today's video, ladies and gents. Just a few ways that you can potentially counteract Tenpai Dragon, because I do think it's going to turn into like a fan favorite deck, mainly because of the way it plays. Your games are over fast, like super fast, and you literally just hand trap your opponent to death, and you've got like 1 or 2 cards that you can literally just put up, like, I don't know, I think it's upwards of like 30,000 damage or something along those lines. So today's video, ladies and gents, we're going to look at 3 cards that potentially could stop a Tenpai Dragon just OTKing you out of the blue basically. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so the first card is Waboku. Now, I know this is an old card, a very old card, but it's a normal trap, so you need to bear that in mind, ladies and gents, because the card that's going to be paired with this is obviously Triple Tactics Thrust. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because Tenpai like to go second. They're looking to OTK as fast as possible, and the way that the lists or the way that the games have been played most recently is the fact that they can just hand trap you to death. So they're obviously going to activate some kind of interaction on your turn, basically, when you're going first. So if you've got access to Thrust or access to Waboku, definitely include this in your list, because this, you can set this as a contingency. They won't be able to OTK you, and you will be able to maintain the monsters that you've got on your field. So if anything, you can put up some kind of like interaction for the following turn after that, and they just won't be able to do anything. Like, if they can't kill you, they can't destroy any of your cards via battle, what are they going to do? Literally, what are they going to do? The whole game plan is to simplify the game state and just attack for a bunch of damage. So if they can't destroy your monsters by battle and you don't take any battle damage, you're definitely in good stead to be able to beat them on a clapback. Now, you need to be able to capitalize on this, so your deck needs to be able to at least play through a couple of interruptions, and with the monsters that it's got on field, have some kind of follow-up. But this is definitely a good shout in terms of going first into a Tenpai board, because typically they're going to try and go second. Now, in the same vein, ladies and gents, Destructive Karma Daruma Cannon, or whatever you want to call it, is also a card that, again, can be searchable off Triple Tactics Thrust, and it does not target the monsters, which is really important. And the main reason is because the way that it reads, it forces your opponent to perform an action, basically. So it makes your opponent either remove the cards off field or flip them face down. Now, that's really important, especially in the battle phase, because this is a synchro based deck. So if it's a synchro based deck and they cannot synchro summon with face down monsters, you put them in a position where you just end their turn, basically. So at the start of the battle phase, and this is really important that you do it at the start, because if Tenpai Dragons find their way into the Sangan level 10, it basically negates any effect that you're allowed to activate in the battle phase. So you can't flip any traps, you can't activate any hand traps, anything at all. You're literally just stuck with with your cards on field, ready to just get punched in the face by some big dragons, which is something that I quite like. But you can't interact with them, so you need to basically shotgun this as soon as possible before they get their materials on for the level 10, because if you allow them to go into the level 10 Sangan, it will just, that's the game over. The game's over. It's done. There's nothing else you can do. You're just going to take all the damage for no reason and just die. So definitely another card that's worth picking up, ladies and gents, and worth incorporating in your list, just to kind of like combat the battle phase trick that they kind of tend to go with. And now the final card, which I think is very, very imperative, is Ghost Ogre. Now this is good for two reasons, because not only does it hit Tenpai Dragon, it also hits Centurion, which is also getting some support coming forward. Now, obviously Ghost Ogre hits the Tenpai Dragon field spell, which is a trigger effect to search. It's not on activation, which is important to note. So they can literally do a few plays and then trigger it. Now what this does is it turns off the field spell, and it turns off the field spell's protection, which just basically says that you can't interact with the Tenpai Dragons in the main phase, which is a bit annoying, because the fact that you can just do that, yeah, and Misk is at 1, it kind of blows my mind. And I don't feel like dinosaurs are, well, facts, I'm not gonna, that's a lie actually, dinosaurs are pretty oppressive with Misk. You can play around Misk somewhat, but it's still a difficult card to play around if it kind of stuns you. If you drop in hand traps and in the chain Misk, it's like, oh, okay, then I guess I lose. But at least with the field spell, you know that it's omnipresent. Literally, they start their turn with it, or they'll get access to it very, very early on, because they need to play with it. It's a going second deck, so they need the kind of protection, so I understand why it's there. But Ghost Ogre does negate their field spells, kind of like blanket protection. Pops it, allows you to then hand trap the rest of the Tenpai Dragons, and typically if they get hand trapped a couple of times, you can actually stop them, because they don't play a lot in the way of extenders. They literally play a bunch of hand traps, and they just look to kind of like draw into their engine and just play that way. So Ghost Ogre is definitely a good shout. Now, that is not all the cards that can actually effectively tackle this deck. There are a bunch of other cards out there, but I'm not going to include it in this video. If there's any cards that you think I should have included though, definitely get at me in that comment section below. I'm always open to it. And as a quick announcement, I have been playing a few subscriber duels, so if you do want to get involved in that, look in the link in the description. There's a link to my Discord. Jump in the Discord, hit me up. We can have some remote duels. We can do Dueling Book, we can do EDO Pro, we can do Duelist Nexus, whatever. I'm just open to it, so definitely get at me in the comment section, and we can get it organized and we can get playing. And I've got a big announcement to make when we hit 800 subscribers, ladies and gents. So tell your friends, tell your family, just subscribe, hit that subscribe button, and yeah, we'll get it going. But anyway, we find ourselves at the end of another video. If you do like this content, you know what to do by now. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, all of that beautiful good stuff, and I will definitely see you guys on the next video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.